Your steps don't stop here. Join Continue Conquer for Inside Content Africa every Tuesday at 07:20 hours on the Ndalama Insights Business Show, a program that gives you the best and most practical, actionable insights. Radio 4 of the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation. This is good morning. Welcome to the Ndalama Insights radio show. This is where we explore all things financial and help you grow your wealth and secure your financial future. I'm Leslie Nyango, and of course, as of the usual, we have with us Mokonke Mokonkala in the studio, our renowned financial consultant. Today, we're looking at a special episode dedicated to an intriguing question from one of our loyal listeners this morning. Mokonke, it is a good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Leslie. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
Good. It's quite chilly outside.
I think officially now this is when June is feeling a bit like June.
Yeah, right.
A bit like June. Very interesting question we have today. And I think the answer to this one for anyone who's between 20 and 30, this is perfect for you. It's an opportunity where you can find yourself a millionaire by the time you're in your 40s. I think that's the best time to be a millionaire in life, isn't it? Like in your 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
That's when you want to be a millionaire. Like before that, the fun should be building it. But once you are in 40s, 50s, it could be about enjoying what you've basically built over the years.
Precisely. Yeah. And you don't have to wait until you're 60, 70 when you're old. I think 40 is the sweet spot.
Yeah, if you start earlier. And this is the thing, most people don't know that if you start early, you can get there. We saw today's topic and what we're talking about. There's a 25-year-old, which to me already is the right age to start at. He's running a transport business. So he earns a monthly income of 10,000 Kwacha and wants to invest about 50% of it every month. And the goal is to grow this investment to 25 million Kwacha in 10 years. Is this ambitious goal actually achievable?
Well, you know, when I received this question, Leslie, I looked at it like, what do you mean? Yeah. 10,000 to 25 million, 10 years. I ignored the question, and then after some time I said, perhaps this guy could have a point. So let's talk about it on radio and see what we're going to uncover with Leslie. So that's where we are at. So at the surface, it looks like a very unachievable, too ambitious goal to attain. From 10,000 Kwacha, you want to save 80% of your income. You're going to live on 2,000 Kwacha, and you're going to be saving 8,000 Kwacha, and you want to turn that into 25 million in 10 years. How possible is that? So, well, it sounds impossible, but with some compound interest, especially that is 25 years, which is actually what got me together. How old are you? 25. Perhaps you could consider a few things. So at a younger age, compound interest, smart investing, and the fact that he's running a business, perhaps could assist this gentleman to turn his 8,000 Kwacha profit, I'm assuming, from his business into 25 million Kwacha in 25 years. So let's see how it can turn out.
Sounds very interesting. But let's break it down for us. What would be the first step that would take towards achieving such a goal?
So the very first step, Leslie, is to understand what he has, the available resources that he has at the moment. So right now he's earning 10,000 Kwacha monthly, and he plans to invest 8,000 Kwacha. And then over 10 years, if you calculate this, 10 years is like 120 months. You multiply that by 8,000, it will give you around 960,000. So essentially, that's the capital that he wants to invest, turn it into 25 million. So this requires a very solid investment plan, some leverage that he needs to attain elsewhere. Most importantly, investing every single Kwacha is making back into his business and also into other investment avenues, and also not relying just on one source of income. This is a very ambitious goal, and for him to attain it, he will have to look at multiple sources of income, different asset classes. And but good thing and the interesting part about him is that he already has the best, and I think it's the best. Running a business is a good starting point for him, because if you look at the returns on asset classes or investment avenues, starting a business is the most profitable asset class you can have, investment you can have. If you can start and run a profitable business, you can determine whatever return you would want to make on that business. Essentially, even 25 million, that is up to you. That is what you can get from a business. And so I think it's got a good starting point. But then how do we realistically create an investment plan? Because 8,000 is quite modest. And to turn it into 25 mils requires much more than just, let's invest the 8,000 kwacha. It requires quite a lot of other things to consider, multiple sources of income. Yeah.
Now, speaking of investment, okay, can you explain some fundamental or foundational skills that our listeners keep in mind?
One thing that he should keep in mind, and I think is really advantaged with his age, is compounding. This is because whatever you do, and compounding is not just about money. He's already running a business. He can compound the returns from his business by reinvesting 8,000 kwacha that he's making back into the business. He's got a fleet of taxis, right? He's got 3 taxis. He's got one light canter truck. What else does he have? He mentioned 3 things, I think, and some other things that does. So he's into the transport business. He can compound the returns from his business by reinvesting the profit that he's making back into his business. Now, the question for me really is, what is his gross profit margin from his business? And what I mean by that is, from his core business, what profit does he make from his core business? And if he is able to understand that gross profit margin, what percentage is it? Because for you to get from 8,000 to 25 million, you need to be making at least 70% gross profit margin. Then from that gross profit margin minus the other expenses, administrative, staff salaries, and other expenses, that will give us the net profit margin, the takeaway, which is where I think is looked at the 8,000, because 8,000 should be the takeaway. So is he already making that huge gross profit margin? Looking at industry standards, the average overall industry standard in terms of gross profit margin is normally around 40%. That's before we take into account administrative and general expenditure. So one thing he could do is compounding his income, not just the investment, but also reinvesting the amount he's making back into the business. That way, it can grow. It can compound or double because it's reinvesting the return or the amount he's making back into his business. So that's one principle. The other one is diversification. Yes, he's already running a business, but how can what other businesses would he venture into? Maybe aligned to the transport sector, I don't know, or maybe another industry altogether that can earn him some more income. Because here it's about building a substantial amount of income that you can then start building off of. And if you look at making money, the starting point is normally the hardest. You can even talk about, let's say, let me bring it down to the house, building a house, or analogy building a house. When you talk about building a house, many people say the foundation is the toughest part, isn't it? Once you lay the foundation, constructing the structure becomes easier. And this applies even to making money. The very first few years or months are the toughest. Once you're able to establish the foundation, it becomes easier. Let's say if you've got a target to say, instead of 25 million, let me aim at 1 million kwachas. If I can get 1 million kwacha, I can then start compounding that 1 million kwacha. And eventually, because I'm starting to get wealthy, do you know a lot of people have been interested in you and kwacha? A lot of financial institutions, especially if you've got an asset, from where maybe his savings even buys an asset, a property, and now he's got collateral. And from that collateral, he's able to attract investments from all angles. And before you know it, that 25 mils, that seems to be a big dream. It's actually quite attainable.
Yes. This is that concept of money makes money, or the rich are getting richer. The more money you have, the more money you make. I think that's where the analogy comes from, isn't it?
Yes. Isn't it true that the richer get richer?
Yes, that's very true. And the more money you make, it sort of attracts more money. So if you go 1 million kwacha, all of a sudden someone will come to you and say, I've got this contract, I've got this thing I'm doing, and I need this much, and it's this, and it's workable.
Yeah.
Only thing missing is your 1 million.
So I think what is missing is the starting point.
Yeah.
So for me, what I would advise this gentleman is rather than targeting 25 mils, target a smaller amount, because from that smaller amount you can bounce off and it's going to start compounding, and they're going to be attracting wealth. Like I've already said, financial institutions love wealth, and once they see you turning mils, they see the money in your account, they'll start coming to you. Do you know people that say I can't borrow, the loans are not there? Once they see a million kwacha in your bank account and collateral, they'll be knocking on your doors. Leslie, can we lend you some money? And that's how easy it can be for you to turn that 8,000 kwacha into 25 million, because the richer you become, the more attractive you become to other investments. People will be calling you, hey, madam, sir, there's property here. Are you interested in buying it? They've got a truck that I'm selling. Can you buy it? This is in the transport business. And before he knows it, he's going to be running a fleet of trucks. And 25 mils in a truck business, transporting copper belt to South Africa. That's not money.
It's very easy to get to that point.
It
But I
should.
think the hardest part as well,
Yeah.
as you say, is not to get to the first, let's say the first million.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the strategies or practical tips you would have for him that can get him to that initial amount that unlocks everything for him?
Thanks, Leslie, for that question. So we were looking at the amount of capital that he has. So the issue came at building that capital from 8,000. What can I build this 8,000 maybe to 50,000? Then can I build it to 100,000? Can I build it to 500 until I get to 1 million? And then because the more money you have, the higher return you can make on that money. Let me bring it down to what we're already familiar with, government bonds. We know that we can start with 1,000 kwacha, but what coupon income are you going to make on 1,000 kwacha compared to 100,000 kwacha? The coupon income you make from 1,000 kwacha on a 10-year bond is about it's 25%. It's about 250 kwacha per annum. But if it was 100,000 kwacha, that's a whole lot of a difference, right? And so you need to aim at building a substantial amount, because from that amount you can get a substantial return, then you can reinvest and start compounding. The scale of your capital is very important, or the amount of capital is very important, because once you have a significant amount of money, it can then start growing by compounding it, as long as you're able to reinvest money. Now, the way compound interest works, Leslie, is that you earn money on top of your initial investment. So if you had an investment of, let's say, 1,000 kwacha and any 25% per annum, if you are able to reinvest that 25% return that you're making back on the 1,000 kwacha, it will start compounding. You're able to make interest on top of the interest that you made, plus the principal amount. That is what compound interest is. It's different from simple interest, which is just interest on top of your principal amount. And so that is what we should all be aiming for. Are we able to find asset classes that can compound our returns? And there are quite a number of ways we can do that. So that's that, Leslie. So all of us, even for me, like right now, I've got a target amount that I'm trying to build. And it's really a waste time. I don't want to beat myself up by looking at 25 mils. Well, but I know that if I'm able to get to a certain amount, it is going to start compounding and working for me. That is where money starts working for you, because you've built an asset class. Yes.
Now let's talk about specific investment options. Well, like, what should our listener consider investing their monthly income in to achieve that goal?
So the thing that we were spoken about, one thing that you need to do is never to lose your money. Don't put your money in a savings account that is not earning any interest, or that is actually losing value through inflation. So protect your money. Save the money in a government bond, for example. We've spoken on government bonds extensively, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on this program. But government bonds, select tenure, start saving money there. And then real estate, this is something I haven't spoken about yet. I'm on my way. We'll be there perhaps next year, because this year I want to focus on the stock market. But let's talk about real estate. For me, real estate in Zambia is the best. And if you can have an asset that you are able to earn monthly income from, rental income, that is guaranteed. Because the asset, you can even use it as collateral to buy more houses more flats that you can rent out. So real estate, that is a great investment if you can have a substantial amount and buy an asset to earn regular income from. Real estate will earn you monthly rental income as well as capital appreciation, as long as you find a good location. The transport business expansion. So this gentleman is in transport business. He can expand his business. You see, how do businesses grow? Businesses grow because they reinvest back the money into the business. The mistake that small business owners make, particularly those of us that are in low developed countries, is that we want to use our profit. We want to eat up our profit. We want to spend our profit. Maybe for our lifestyle, want to show people that we are now doing really well, we are wealthy, we start buying unnecessary vehicles and houses as a show off, instead of investing that money back into the business. If we invest the money back into the business is going to be giving us compound interest, if you like. And that is what is going to get you to the 25 million Kwachas. If you want to reinvest in back into whatever business you're doing, is also a very good way you can enjoy compound interest. And so these are some of the ways this gentleman can actually, start building his wealth towards 25 million.
Yes. Well, now to determine if the 25 million Kwacha is feasible, you sort of need to project the potential returns. Can you walk us through how this can be done?
So, to project the returns, Leslie, there's certain formulas that we use. This guy is aiming at 25 million Kwacha. So this is the future value. We need to look at what is the amount that it needs to have currently, which is the present value, for him to be able to make the 25 million in 10 years' time. There's a formula that we use. It's called it's a future value formula, and I cannot discuss it on radio. Even time, we don't have time. However, I did a quick calculation for him. If he wanted to make 25 million in 10 years' time, he needed to start with about 2.5 million Kwachas. And that 2.5 million Kwachas was going to compound up to 25 million, as long as he's not touching the interest that he's making all that money. So even for his business, if he can start with a capital investment of 2.5 million Kwachas and invest that money back into his business, or if he can find investments like bonds, real estate that can earn him compound interest and he keeps it there for 10 years, he can get to 25 million. So that's how the other way you can look at it. Yeah.
So the idea is, first of all, try and make that lump sum, save up to that lump sum somewhere.
Exactly.
And use that lump sum to basically sort of jump to go high.
And that's the message for all of us, Leslie. Rather than aiming at that huge amount, aim at a smaller amount, get to that amount, so that you could say, let me get 100,000 Kwacha, let me get 500,000 Kwacha, let me get to 1 million Kwacha. Because after you get to a certain amount, the money starts compounding and it shortens the amount of period for you to double the amount or to get to whatever target you're aiming for. And by the time you're getting to that million target or 500 target, you've already learned the investing techniques, would have become really good. Other thing is discipline and the kind of mindset you need to build that kind of wealth. If you're able to start with a smaller amount, you're also working on those two, the discipline, the mindset, and before you know it, you're going to be a magnet.
Well, because I've known some friends, I know some people, the people who start with a plot, and he'll build a house on it, but he'll build a house specifically for sale. He's not building it to live in it, he's not building it to rent it out. The idea is 1,000 Kwacha, for instance, per month, and you're spending it on a house in 2 years. 160 to 200,000 Kwacha. That house will be done. It won't be perfect, it will be done. And if it's for selling, you will sell it at $400, selling double the amount.
Yes.
And you keep going like that. It's simple things like that, isn't it?
It is. It is. Let me say good morning to Anna, Candia, Matthew, and others that are joining. So it definitely is the Leslie. So for me, the lesson is, and I love these questions. I'm encouraging everyone to send the questions. You can WhatsApp the questions to my line. You can email the questions. It's really interesting. I love such kinds of discussions on the radio program, Leslie. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. Get a approach to get to. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. But Mkonki, it's been a pleasure having. Anything else you'd like to tell our listener before we close?
So I would like to conclude by thanking the listener that sent through this question. I hope you get some values and insights to help you to grow your business and also to consider other investment avenues like bonds, real estate, business. And I also encourage listeners to send questions through so that we can make this program actually practical and relatable to you. I really enjoyed this question. So thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you to all our listeners for tuning into the Ndalama Insights radio show. Remember, building wealth is a journey that requires knowledge, discipline, and patience. Stay tuned for more financial insights and advice. And until next time, happy investing. Good morning.